On this video, I'm going to be telling you which swords you got to be using in Blox Fruits after update 24. Since the last time that I did this video, it was actually like more than a year ago, and back then the swords were on rework. So basically the swords were on rework and it needs an update. So let's start off with number 10. So on number 10 we have the Shark Anchor sword. Well, it's not really a sword, but you get the point. The Shark Anchor used to be good when it finally dropped at update 20, if you guys still remember. When we got it for the first time, this was incredibly overpowered, but throughout the time this just got way worse, and people really know how to predict and escape this, so it's not really as viable as it used to be. But back in the day it was really overpowered, and I really commend this fruit for being very unique, since we don't really have a lot of unique swords in Blox Fruits. They're basically all pretty much the same. So for that, I'll give it the 10th place. It kind of deserves it. And yeah, I think there's only a few fruits that you can really be using Shark Anchor with, which is probably like dough or something. There's not a lot of fruits that you could be using this with, so I'll just keep it at number 10, I guess. So for number 9, we got the Buddy Sword. Now you might be wondering why the Buddy Sword out of every single sword in the game. The Buddy Sword has crazy range. So basically, if you want to hit somebody from a distance, you can basically do that, because these moves have just infinite amount of range. Like, what even is that range right there? Matter of fact, I don't even have any strong grip, so this is basically pretty much overpowered. You get a 1k burn damage, almost 1k burn damage. Also, this fruit is pretty much made for every single fruit in the game. You could be using this with anything, really. If you're good with this sword and you have a lot of aim, then use it. Go ahead. I will not hold you back. This sword is made for a spirit. This sword is also made for a lot of things as well, like rumble, portal. This is a pretty good sword, I'm not gonna lie. It does a lot of damage too if you have sword stats, so you might as well just do that. And yeah, coming in number 8. For number 8, we got the Dragon Trident. Now you might be wondering why the Dragon Trident. Wouldn't be the Dragon Trident pretty much better? Wouldn't the Dragon Trident rank higher than the other swords? And yes and no, because the Dragon Trident is outdated. We already know the moves. You basically just have to stay in the air to absolutely avoid being hit by the Dragon Trident. And the only move that will really hit you and kill you would probably be the Z move. But other than that, the Water Dragon Shower, like the second move, is not going to be helping out a lot in PvP. And most importantly, in nowadays PvP, because you already know how many times people really just abuse the glitches. Like, let me just show you a glitch that I really mean by this. So if you do this and your enemy is going to hit you with that, you're not going to be hit, because most of the times you're going to be air PvPing. It's not viable as it used to be anymore. I think back in the day, Dragon Trident had its time, but I think it's time to retire the sword. Like, it's not really that good anymore. I think with burning, this could be pretty good still, or like any other curse, but apart from that, I don't think it's a good sword anymore. So coming in at number 7. For number 7, we got the Gravity Blade, or Gravity Cane, whatever you want to call it. I pretty much still prefer Gravity Cane. I don't know why they call it a blade. This is the Gravity Blade. I think that the Gravity Blade is still a pretty overpowered sword. Like, it's not outdated and unusable like the other swords like Dragon Trident, but the Gravity Blade is still overpowered. If you know how to play with this sword, I'll give you that, because the Gravity Blade is still OP. But the thing is, people already know how to play against Gravity Blade. Like, you're not gonna be seeing a noob falling for the common Gravity Z move or like the Gravity X move. They're just gonna run away because they know the range. Or they're just going to be outplaying you, because as you already know, the Z or X move only go in one direction. So basically, if your enemy is standing right there and you don't aim against him but rather aim somewhere else, it's not gonna hit him, because this move only works when your enemy is in the directed field of range. So I don't really think that this is going to be beneficial for you as a Gravity Blade user. But if you know how to play with this, sword and have a lot of good aim, you can still use it. Like, I'm not gonna hold you back for it, because it's still pretty good. And this is why I'll leave it at number 7. Coming in at number 6, we got the Fox Lamp. And now, as much as I like the Fox Lamp is an underrated sword. I'm just saying, the Fox Lamp is underused. Nobody's using the sword. I'm like, why? Because this sword holds a lot of power to it. It definitely holds a lot of power to it, and it's just unused. Nobody's using this. When I used this the first time with light, bro, I was absolutely obliterating people because like nobody knew how to play against this sword because nobody has it. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I don't think anybody apart from the people that did the event at the Kitsune Shrine event really have the sword. There's a lot of people who don't own the sword, and this just makes it funny because like nobody knows how to play against this, and it's just absolutely overpowered. Like the other day I was fighting somebody and he was asking me what kind of sword this is, even though it's been like more than a year since the Kitsune Shrine update. So I'm pretty much still overpowered. I think you don't even have to use the sword stat. You don't even have to use the sword stats. You could be using anything. You could be using fruit stats with this, and it's still absolutely broken. Like, let's say, for an example, you want to hit light V. Your enemy can't escape while he's in a light V because he's stuck in the Fox Lamb Z. That's just absolutely overpowered in my opinion, and it's pretty much underrated. People need to use this, and that's why I think I'll leave it at number 6. I mean, it could be way better, but in comparison to the other swords, it is not that good. I'm sorry. Coming in at number 5, we got the Dark Blade. Now, Dark Blade is a pretty controversial sword because people like this sword and people don't like this sword. Now, I'll fill you in on what I think on this sword. This sword is not that bad if you know how to play with it, and I'm saying this with honesty. Having strong grip on this could be like extremely broken. So like if I hit this enemy right here, full precision, do you see that damage? That is strong grip damage. I don't even have my stats on sword, and to justify that, I'm gonna show you my stats real quick. As you can see right there, I don't got no sword stats, but I got the block fruit stats. So basically this is absolutely broken. People are underrating the sword and people are overrating the sword because this sword is not to be used with every single fruit in the game. There's only a specific amount of fruits that could be played with this sword right here. Probably like Portal or Rumble, but I don't think it's pretty much that good. And for price to quality, bro, I'm gonna be honest, 1.2k is just... yeah, nobody's buying this sword if they have to. Like, there's a lot of better options than be using the Dark Blade. But if you want to have the Dark Blade as a cool accessory, or maybe you want to use it as well in PvP, I'm not gonna hold you back for it. It's pretty much it's still OP. Like, I think back in the day people used to rock this a lot, but nowadays it's just... it fell off. But now let's get in with the top 4 swords in my opinion. For starters, we got the Cursed Dual Katana at place 4. I mean, this is pretty much self-explanatory. I don't think I have to explain why CDK used to be a #1 sword, but everybody knows how to play against this. I don't know if they added like a nerf to the Cursed Dual Katana or something, but ever since update 20 release, nobody playing this, bro. Nobody playing this, and it's pretty outdated. There's only a couple amount of people that really can still rock this nowadays, and that's if they know how to Ken trick or like break your Ken every single time. But apart from that, nobody's using this anymore. Going in at number 3, we got the Spiky Trident. Now, the Spiky Trident is overpowered. I'll give you that. I used to rock Spiky Trident legitimately all the time, but there's some downsides to Spiky Trident because, you know, the Spiky Trident is just way too Kentrickable, if you know what I mean. If both of the moves were not as Kentrickable as they are, I think that this would be a #1 sword, no debate. But since it is so Kentrickable, like, I don't think it's really possible to, you know, it's just, I mean, it could have been way better, but I think I'll just keep it at number 3 because that's the place that it deserves. It used to be crazy back in the day when people didn't know how to Kentrick, but nowadays everybody knows how to play against it. Even a 2.5 billion is gonna Kentrick the sword. So at the end of the day, bro, it's a pretty good sword still if you know how to Ken break your enemy and are pretty much knowledgeable with the game. Coming in at number 2, we got the Yama sword. Now, the Yama sword rose, like, it became way better for people that used to main this. It is crazy. Now, there's a specific reason why people really main this sword now, because, I mean, back in the day, it was still an overpowered sword, but now it's even more overpowered because of the addition of specific fruits, like the Kitsune fruit, for an example. You do not know what people can do with this fruit, bro. I've seen so many combos of people absolutely obliterating the other opponent using the Yama and Kitsune combination, bro. That's actually just overpowered as hell. Not only that, we have a lot of other things that could be used with Yama nowadays. I mean, for an example, I know my stuff, guys. I know my stuff. When people tell me you don't know nowadays is PvP, I'm still hip. Like, I know what the current meta is. People be using people be using this for an example. I know that this is absolutely overpowered. The diamond fruit is the diamond fruit is overpowered. We already know that for sure. This sword, honestly, it looks pretty cool as well. So I'm not gonna hold you back for using this. This is just absolutely. It looks nice. It is awesome. I like the sword, and I give it 8 out of 10. Editor, blur out the part until I say so. 3, 2, 1, and who would have thought? It is the true triple katana. The true triple katana takes the first place for dozens of reasons. The true triple katana, even after the nerf, is still like pretty much the most overpowered sword in the game. The damage to velocity ratio, I don't know what they call it, but the damage on this that you're gonna get is just way more overpowered than any other sword. It is very quick. It is very viable. It has enormous amount of range. Like that's like the range of this is insane, bro. Like let me just show you guys. You see that person over there? Yeah, he's gonna get caught. It's just overpowered in my opinion, because this is just like the craziest sword ever in this game. You could be using this with any other fighting style as well. People use this for the pre-update 24 portal combination meta. But for starters, this is just the most overpowered sword in the game. I mean, who would have thought? Who would have guessed? It's obviously the best one in the game. Let me know which sword is your favorite in the game, and let me know which one you will be using. And I'll see you guys in the next video. That's going to be soon. Goodbye.
Hey.